Hey there, it's Dr. Scott McLean, and during this video, we'll be talking about implant crown digital scan sequences. So we'll be taking you on a journey from taking the impression from a scan body to fabricating a crown. So we'll send it off and the lab will do that. But our goal is to understand that using scanners means that you're going to take a scan sequence. So the scan sequence starts by understanding the path that you're scanning. So as this is stitched together, it's going to go from the posterior to the anterior, rocking the anterior, then back to the posterior, then to the lingual, then to the facial. So you're stitching a number of images together, or video, in order to fabricate this kind of model. So it will be a digital model. So now let's go through the 4 steps to doing a digital implant crown impression. And we're going to use the Medit i500 to do this, but you can use most scanners to do exactly what I'm showing you here. So typically the registered dental assistant is going to do the first 3 scans. So these are called arch relationship scans. It's kind of like taking models, high-end PVS models, and doing them and mounting them on an articulator. So what we do is we start with an upper arch scan. And so the dental assistant will go around and do that. Then she'll do a lower arch scan and then a bite record. So this is all done usually before I even come into the room. So we'll have the registered dental assistant start with the Medit i500, and what she'll do is focus on the maxilla, but we know that the implant here is on the lower, and these models represent the actual live patient, so we're actually just using models so we can make it easy for you to see. So the upper arch starts, so we have the patient open their mouth, we go in with the scanner and start from the posterior and start to work to the anterior, rocking it in the anterior area to pick up a little bit of the facial and lingual. And so as we do this, we're going to get a nice impression of the maxilla. And so we usually start in a sequence, which means we're going to start on the upper. So as we start the lower, we know that the healing abutment is still in place. That is intentional. We want to leave the healing abutment there so that the soft tissues are not going to slump. So the dentist is also required to take this off. So as the dental assistant goes around, they can do the things that they need to do prior to the dentist coming into the room. Now, one of the cool things before you advance between each of the scans is to look at the reliability test, and you can even scan with this on all the time. But this tells you that the STL file has the proper capture, because the green is good, the pink needs to be scanned a little bit more, so the dental assistant will go back in and make sure that this is really accurate before we get to the next stage. When we get to the bite record, it's a very quick and easy kind of process. So what you'll do is have the patient bite into their occlusion and then run the scanner down the outside. And you can see as you do this, you're going to pick up a little bit of the bone and soft tissue, and this will relate the 2 models together. So you'll hear this noise that tells you that it's happened, and you get this really nice relationship, and most scanners work this way. It's just a way to get the models into a bite registration. So whether your CO, CR, it can capture whatever you want to capture. You could just articulate the jaw exactly where you want to go. So I like the feedback as you're going through the reliability test, because it gives you some kind of way to know that you have a good scan. Now step 2 is still done by the registered dental assistant. He or she will trim the healing abutment and make it so it's out of the way of the scan. But this is still on the initial scan that you're going to take, but you're going to take the healing abutment and digitally remove it. So as you remove it, you're going to see that the scan is then ready for the dentist to come in and do their work. And so we want to do this because we don't want the tissue to slump. And now that all the rest of the scan has been taken, we can move from that part of the scan over this area of the soft tissue very quickly, which brings you into the step 3. So step 2 is still done by the registered dental assistant, and now the dentist is coming back and they can start to do step number 3. So the dentist now comes in and does what's called the emergence profile scan. So this is a soft tissue scan, and it requires you to remove the healing abutment. So once the healing abutment is removed, we want to work quickly and we want to work efficiently. So we're going to take the scanner, go on part of the scan that's actually been scanned before, so the molars, and then move posteriorly on this case so that it's going to pick up the soft tissues extremely accurately, because what happens is the lab technician is going to use this to fabricate the crown. And if you're doing, for instance, some type of custom temporary, which we do in the anterior all the time, you can remove this in the same fashion and pick up the scan of the soft tissues and allow the technician to really be doing a fantastic job for you. Now, step 4 is also done by the dentist, which is to acquire the scan body. Here it's an AI scan body, so artificially intelligent, so you get a fusion of the two scan bodies. So what does this mean? It means that the software already has a scan body that matches what you're going to use. So as you put the one into the patient's mouth, the scan body can then be superimposed. So what does this mean? It means that you have the shape, and as you start to scan the patient's scan body, the new scan body that's the computer model is going to be superimposed over top of the scan body in the patient's mouth, which is really, really cool, because what happens is it's a difficult area to scan. So what you do is you come in and you're going to pick the scan body matching, and this artificial intelligence is going to allow you to go in and pick the scan body that you're going to use on this particular case. And so then I've had Sebastian at Nobel Biocare help me with this, and he put in my favorite scan bodies, which are the ELO scan bodies, and you can see that these will now show up. So they're in a list that I can pick. And when you do this, these are actual models. They're not the scan body themselves, but they're just sitting there waiting to be fused. So as we start to scan the patient, I'll go to the facial and pick up the flat surface. I'll come to the lingual, and then boom, we have the kind of superimposed image that was already there kind of blend in. So you get a complete scan body fusion, which is the artificial intelligence that we're talking about. So this is quite smart technology and very useful, because now the technician knows the exact three-dimensional position of the implant relative to the tooth, the bone, the timing, the angulation. So it's pretty cool technology. Now, in summary, there's 4 steps. First, we take an arch relationship series of scans, the maxilla, the mandible, and the occlusal record. Step 2, emergence profile trim. The dental assistant's going to trim this away, the trimming the healing abutment. Number 3, we're going to do a soft tissue profile scan, so you see that the soft tissue emergence profile is captured. Then step 4, we're going to do a Scanbody Pickup, and these 2 are done by the dentist. The rest can be done by your team, so it's really a cool process. So this has been Dr. Scott McLean. Please don't forget to follow me by subscribing. Also on Instagram at Dr. Scott McLean. So hope you enjoyed this implant crown digital scan sequence.